Take two. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Love in Action show with me, Alpa Soni. Today, I have a very special guest. You may recognize him from 2 years ago, the lovely J.Wolfe. And it's been quite some time since we've reconnected. But before I have him on, I would just like everyone to like and subscribe this particular show, because I'm heavily shadow banned, and I have realized that the algorithms with YouTube are a bit chaotic, like this Mercury retrograde. Now, today's show is going to be about the 1111 Awakening Code, and Charlie and I are going to be doing regular shows on this. But today I want to introduce him as an amazing author of the Great Awakening numbers. Now, all of you who have followed my journey will know that 1111 is a very significant number for me, simply because I was born at that time. And it started following me around 2015, where I had my first, I'd say, taste of numerology, gematria, and I started being very curious about what the universe was trying to tell me. So before we introduce Charlie and get into the juicy stuff, I just want everyone to, if you haven't come across Good Lion, here we go. We've got a lot of things going on here. Today, we've got a very special offer for the month of October, where you can buy a year's membership for 20% off. So using the code ALPA20. So when you go to pay, make sure that you use that code, and all the information will be on the description below. I've also got the ARII website up now, but just for those that haven't seen this, and the products that we're doing is the autism and detox support, which is helping to detox heavy metals from the brain. And then we've got the autism support, which is a topical that's applied to the feet. Now, you have seen, if you've seen my videos or haven't heard of this, sorry, then be sure to check my previous video, one of my previous videos. So enough of all of that. Charlie, it's so nice to reconnect with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Keeping warm here in Hamburg, Germany, even with the gas pipelines blowing up.
Yeah, lots of stuff is going on in Germany.
Life is good, though. Life's good. It's getting better. I think things are going to get a lot better.
Yeah. Well, 2 years ago, we had our show with Charlie Ward, and you had a very good response and a curiosity about the book. But the reason why I want to do it, we didn't really delve deeper into this. And a few weeks ago, I had a download, and that was to contact you, because we obviously, disconnected after that. It was kind of a one-off wonder. And this book has got some very freaky, but very interesting coincidences. And I go through them myself without having read them. So the number 11 and 22 is very significant in my life. 22 being 1111, 11 plus 11, and 22. But I'm not sure if any of you know this, but for about a year before this movement started, 22 was a massive number that I kept seeing everywhere, like everywhere. It was crazy. And then I buy the book, and guess what? One of the chapters is called Seeing 22 Everywhere. My life path number just happens to be 1, and my significant other's life path number happens to be 22. Is this all a coincidence? Is this something somebody's trying to tell me? Let's take a look and hear what Charlie has to say.
Sounds you want me to start in with
yeah, so Charlie, if you could just briefly introduce yourself. I know this is not the only thing that you do. For my audience that don't know who you are, you have a phenomenal job in Germany at the moment. You're not just the author of this book, so just sort of invite us into who and where and what brought you to write this book and what you're doing right now.
Sure, thank you, Alpa. I appreciate it, the introduction. My name's J.Wolfe. I'm a master's degree engineer, electrical engineer. I work for General Electric, and I travel the world working on the most powerful machines on the planet, nuclear power plants, coal power plants and a large degree gas turbines. I work on the electrical end, so the machines I work on don't really care where the power is coming from. But so yeah, I keep the lights on. That's the short-winded version of it. I'm always the guy that when I hear opportunities in some of the tougher places like Iraq or Israel, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, my hand always goes up because I have a big heart for the tough places where people are suffering and places where they really need electricity for the basic pleasures in life, not just the 88-inch plasma screen TVs and iPhones, but like basic lights and washing machines. So that's my motivation to travel out to over 128 countries on 6 continents to pursue this.
Been a journey, 128.
Oh, yeah, been busy, but yeah. So what brought me into the 11/11 phenomenon is it just something that kept tapping me on the shoulder with these you'd call them coincidences, and after a while, after a certain amount of coincidences, you start to realize that there's something deeper going on. That moment for me was okay. I was born March 22nd of 1975. Think about that.
You're 22. You didn't tell me that.
Yeah. Wonders never cease. But think about that. 1975. 1 + 9 + 7 + 5. That comes up to 22. That's 11 + 11. My first house, the first house I was born into, is 322 Whole Court, Waukegan, Illinois. 322. But what really hit me, where it really came to be more than just a coincidence, was when my son Eric was born. The young, handsome guy on the cover of the book. He was born at 22 inches of length. And I think, no, that's really something. That's when I started to dig into this deeper. And I dug so far into this. I've gone deeper than anybody that I've found. I'm not saying I've dug the deepest, but I don't know anybody else that has gone deeper than me into the 11/11 and the numerology that surrounds it. And that's what resulted in the 329-page treatise, the 11/11 Code, that became a #1 bestseller in the philosophy category on Amazon. And I've got 211 reviews out. So apparently the audience has been quite happy with it. So I'm very to be here.
Very informative. But the curiosity for me was more from the spiritual plane, and I wanted to sort of marry your kind of scientific take on numerology and gematria, because on social media it's kind of become this I'd say trend or fashion where 11/11's kind of hashtagged everywhere, and it's quite commonly associated with the twin flame journey, which I believe is union with self. And of course, it holds a lot of different meaning for different people. But whatever it means for everyone's significant. For me, it's about the awakening codes and the universe trying to tell me something. And it's significant for me having the realize of the importance of being within and one with self and the union with self. And it's taken me a while to get there, but the curiosity for the scientific explanation has been there. So of course, you know, when you go through this, there's so much information. But yeah, go ahead, carry on. Yes, you've had a great response on Amazon. So you can buy this. All the information of the book, where you can buy it, will be on the link below. And I know last time when we spoke about it on Charlie's show, it went crazy. Charlie Ward, that is. And I'm sure it will do the same here. It's just, you know, getting people's awareness about it. And I know this is a subject that a lot of people will be very curious about.
Well, you know, the philosophy I've had in business is generally, if you can teach a customer something, if you can first teach them something, then you'll have a customer for life, and the money, the success, everything will follow. So that's really the approach I try to take with the 11/11 Code, is to teach people something, to share something. And you know, I mean, I'll go straight to the punchline. If you take 11 minutes and 11 seconds, how many minutes or how many seconds is that? Or you can do it with hours and minutes, 11 hours, 11 minutes. Either way, it's base 60. So 11 hours times 60 minutes, it gives you 660 minutes. Plus the other 11 minutes gives you 671. You can play the same game with seconds. In 11 minutes, 11 seconds, you have 671 seconds. So either way you slice that, you find out on a basic Google search that if you search the speed of light in miles per hour, you get 671 million miles per hour. So bang, right there. That's not a random number. 671. That's the speed of light. That the hippies and yoga people and tie-dye people, they all had it right all along. That 1111 is a code of light, but this is the mathematical proof of why. And I found a similar thing in my study of electromagnetics. That if you the speed of light equals 1 divided by the square root of epsilon times mu, which is the electric property of free space times the magnetic property of free space. The product of those two numbers has 1111 in it without in front of it. But you know, the speed of light has 1111 built into it. I've got that in as an appendix at the end of the book for those who are more mathematically inclined, or you can just trust me that it's a code of it represents light at a micro level and a macro level, both ends of the spectrum. Example, Michelson-Morley experiment out in California. When they first measured the speed of light, they did it on between two peaks out in California, two mountain peaks. One where they would emit a laser, the other one had a reflector on it. So they measured the time from when they started the pulse to when it came back, 22 miles apart, 11 plus 11 to measure the speed of light. Is that?
And you think about it's the code of light. And look at that, you're saying this both in the scientific sense, and I align it to light, like just the light within. And when you're awakening, you know, you're awakening the light within. And when you kind of put it in this parallel, and then you have this. Remember, we were speaking yesterday, where I think I was saying this to you yesterday, and I was saying this to Nick, that I think the collective consciousness, because of everything that we've learned in this movement over these 2 years, for me, I have, as an observer and witnessing that we live in kind of a bipolar state, yeah, where we are, you know, either one way or the other. We're kind of, it's not that neutrality where we're synthesizing the two equalable opposites. And this is one of the things where I say we have spirituality in its true essence. And then we've got the true science. Science is divinity as well. But because it's been so hijacked in modern day, and especially with all the pharmaceutical companies that have indoctrinated humanity of trusting false institutions, we have this kind of codependency on the false science, where the real science has not been kind of integrated into that inner standing and interwoven to the home of spirituality. And I say you have spirituality and science, and then what you have in the center is divinity. And Dr. Demartini talks about this, and when he mentioned this on one of his discussions, I was like, right. And this is where your book sheds light on that, Charlie. Things that I can't, kind of understand on the scientific plane. So we've got a wonderful presentation here today, guys, that Charlie has prepared. And just before we begin, I want to thank you, Charlie, wholeheartedly, because he's such a beautiful soul, guys. He's got, ladies and gents, and I say this from my heart and soul. When we first spoke, there was an instant connection. And isn't it weird that someone born at that time has connected him with all of these kind of coincidences and these numbers that are also very significant in his life? But he hasn't had it easy, and he's had quite an extraordinary journey to get to where he is now. And the fact that we've reconnected, again, I think it's the hands of God. So take it away.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Alpa. It's really a delight to be back on, and you're such a gracious host today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll just like, we've been like, wait, we're going to do it. But yeah, so you have some things that you want to share with us, I believe, today.
Sure, why not? Let's do it. Basically, I put together a 19-slide PowerPoint presentation that's sort of, it's sort of the starting point of March 22nd, 2020, which is my 45th birthday. And that's the day that I had launched the 1111 code. That's the day that I hit send at 11:11 p.m. on March 22nd. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my mouse on and share my screen.
Yeah. And there we go. Yeah, no, the coincidences, folks, is going to blow your mind away, because when we have our sort of private chats, and I'm a lot more chatty. It's really weird when as soon as I press the record button on Zoom, I kind of get, we were just saying this, I get kind of all the things that I have in mind to speak to Charlie about. It's like my brain races so fast, but he has a very good presentation prepared. And normally I am very spontaneous with my shows, which we were today actually, but Charlie has put together this presentation, which I'm so grateful for. So never normally do this. There's something different.
Can you see that? Can you see my screen?
Just bear with me. Yes, now I can. Yay.
Let me hit F5. Let me hit F5 to go to, let's see, do presentation. There we go. Okay.
Perfect.
So this is March 20th, actually, on March 11th, I mobilized to a nuclear power station somewhere in the US that I would rather not specify on March 11th. So I worked there for 11 days on a planned critical outage, doing maintenance on a 900 million watt nuclear steam turbine. And when I checked out on March 22nd, that was my birthday. That's when I checked out. That wasn't my choosing. That was by the customer's choosing. That's when the job ended. If you look at the reference numbers when I checked out, mind you, the 22nd from this hotel is where I launched and uploaded my book, and on the 22nd. And look at the reference numbers that came through. Everything is either a 111 or a quad 1111. Those are computer generated numbers that were supplied with electricity from this power station that was 10 miles away. It absolutely blew my mind. It was like the cosmos saying, your work has been checked into the cosmic library. It was absolutely shattered my mind. So that's, you can see down here, bottom right, it's a 2-reactor. One of them's a Westinghouse machine, one of them's GE. Anyways, and that's me clowning around with the
yes, love the cap.
Who says you can't have fun and be a scientist, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next slide here. A couple months later, after launching that book, I was in the throes of a divorce, a very contentious divorce, and I drove to Boston to meet with a hypnosis therapist, Andre Cordella, who practices QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis therapy. One of the most amazing experiences of my life. Afterwards, I went to Olive Garden. It was the nearest restaurant, and I haven't eaten Olive Garden in a long time. So I went to Olive Garden, and I parked outside because of COVID, and they were only doing curbside delivery. And I just happened to park in spot 11. I did not realize that until I got this receipt. Notice that they decided to print my receipt at 722, 11 plus 11. Let's see, at the bottom, you can see that the total for my dinner was 22.22.
Like, I mean, like, seriously.
I never get dessert ever. You ask my ex-wife, I never get dessert under it, like, unless it's Christmas or.
Switched on my phone. Sorry to interject. I'm sorry, folks. But when he messaged me, and I've just looked at the time, the last one that you sent me was at 1:22. It was like nice. When you said that when I sent the invite. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
But I never eat dessert, but I chose to get tiramisu for an extra $6.79. That brought the total to $22.22, and I didn't know that until after I had ordered and consumed it and ready to leave. But as fate would hold it, I was brought to a project in Israel 2 months later, which brought me to the other Olive Garden, the original Olive Garden at Gethsemane, which has 22 olive trees. Take that to the bank. 22. Think about that. So here's the job in Israel. This is at Caesarea, Israel. You can see here the power station behind me, the Orat Rabin power station in Caesarea. It looks like a great big 1111. Those chimneys are 300 meters tall, 900, almost 1,000 feet tall. A great big 1111. That cigarette-looking one on the right that's smoking, that one was not there when I worked in 2005 for the first time. 15 years later, it grew at a fourth digit, a fourth one, so to speak. And it really blew my mind. And the weather when I was there was 22 degrees centigrade quite often. You can see in the bottom picture, I'm standing on National Highway number 2, and there's absolutely no cars. This was during the peak of COVID. I was over there to work on critical national infrastructure. So I had a special passport visa that allowed me to drive when the whole nation of Israel was locked down. Even the Israelis couldn't drive on their own roads. I had to go through police and military checkpoints just to go to work and back. So I thought this picture was quite poignant of how I really had the country to myself. So here's one of the machines we worked on. This is Unit 6. We're looking at about 600 million watts right there, good for about 400,000 Israeli homes. You can see the size of me on the left there in the circle.
Wow.
So that's that.
This is crazy. I mean, I'm just looking at the what you do and where you are and the environment that you work in, and this is just, you know, just the kind of work that I've done. I haven't been exposed to these kind of sites. It's just quite cool in itself without the numbers.
I mean, I'm a light worker.
Literally.
Sense of the word. I mean, these machines, look at this, look at the nameplate on this machine, 22,000 volts, 11 plus 11. Think about that. I mean, that's the biggest, the most powerful piece of equipment in the nation of Israel. Here's me inside. So I'm working on the electrical heart of Israel on the left, and I visited the spiritual heart of Israel on the right, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem at the end of the project. So that's inside the beast right there.
Wow. Guys, look at that.
So, you know, let's see here.
Oh, wow. Can you just go back one, just that one slide? So this bit where you're in is that picture.
It's inside of, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but can you see my mouse?
Yeah. Oh, it's there.
That's all this box taken off. That's looking in this way into this machine. That's the generator. And this all this apparatus here is the turbine that drives it.
So just think about this, right? You just said what you really are, but the light worker in the scientific sense, and of course the spiritual sense, because you're a child of God and all of that. But I mean, if you can look at the coincidences, as we keep calling them, but there aren't any, as we know, there are no such thing as coincidences, as we are beginning to realize, because this is magnificent, and the magnitude of these coincidences. I mean, how many have we got so far, you know?
Yeah, oh, we're not done yet. This is like slide 5 of 19.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. How many have we got so far? But yeah.
So this is, check out Mark 11:11. Jesus entered Jerusalem and went into the temple courts. He looked around at everything, but since it was already late, he went out to Bethany with the 12. 11:11, Jerusalem. Here I am. It's 22 degrees. Look at the screenshot of the temperature app when I was there.
Yeah.
Maxwell's equations T-shirt on, the fundamental laws of electromagnetics, just for fun.
And God said, "Yeah, wow."
Yeah. So the day after, the evening that I got back from Jerusalem, I went and prayed at the Western Wall for about 850 of my Twitter followers. I had up to 18,000 before I got banned for telling too much truth. But I came back to the hotel the next morning. Look at the butters. These are all the butter packets at the breakfast area. There was hundreds of them. Every single one of them had 11/11 as the expiring date. Check that out. You can't fake that.
And 1555. Wow. For me, that's been my number of the last 2 weeks. 155 or 1555.
Well, they're all 555. Look at, they're all 555. The date is always 11/11. Look at that.
Yeah, 11/11, and so 11/11 is just not, before it used to. I mean, I still secretly get excited when I see it or on a receipt, because I've experienced exactly the same. You go out and buy food, the receipt comes to 11/11, and then my friends just started thinking I was bonkers constantly, pointing it out, because I became obsessed. But it just, the curiosity and the fascination, and it still does, like, make me feel like, whoa, it's happened again, and that the universe is supporting me. That's the way I always interpret it. And that, you know, go within, what is it that the universe is trying to tell me? That's what I sort of always do. So where were you here? So let's just pause a little bit before we go, because we've got quite a few slides. So at this point, you're on this trip to Israel, and then you're getting all these coincidences. You've come back now and you've seen this. Where were you personally in your journey, if you don't mind just sharing with us a little bit about that? You know,
well, I had just come down from 14 days of quarantine in Tel Aviv when this is at the peak of COVID. This is at the peak of COVID crazy. So everything was like maximum lockdown, maximum pain, maximum stress. So I had been quarantined in basically solitary confinement at a hotel in Tel Aviv. No human contact. All meals were delivered prison style. A knock on the door, and you find the tray outside underneath the door. And by the time you open the door, the delivery person was 50 feet down the highway already, down the hallway already. So I was physically tired, mentally tired, spiritually broken. I mean, I was calculating the square root of 2GH to figure out how long it would take me if I jumped off the 11th floor of my hotel to just end it. I was depressed. I was broken from the throes of an ongoing divorce, and just being in a foreign country that's under lockdown, and then having to unable to really walk more than 20 feet in either direction for 14 days. I didn't get any exercise, so I was physically very atrophied. My muscles were weak and tired from the basically sleeping 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
Past the time. So yeah.
Lockdown, and to think we experienced that. I mean, I didn't. I was just in my home with my dog. You're in a hotel room and going through what you were going through. And thank you. I'm humbled that you shared that with us here today. And that's very significant to your personal journey and the impetus as well, really, to, start writing and all the sort of discoveries that you have, because I'm sure within your personal journey, these numbers played a big role.
Yeah, for sure. And, this divorce and all the other tough things that happened, COVID, all that stuff happened instantly right after I submitted the book. That's when all my demons came out. That's when all COVID crazy started. It was absolutely remarkable. But yeah, I was in a pretty broken state, and it took all the strength within me to go out and pray for all my Twitter followers and all my family, all my enemies, everybody, to go to the Western Wall. I figured I was going to take it to Jesus as much as I could, and deal with it that way and see what the universe had for me. And these packets of butter was by message received the next morning. So it really meant a lot to me. It wasn't just, oh cool, another 11/11. It was more like, oh yeah, message received. And that's 5x5 for any of the Q aficionados. 5x5 means message received.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
wow. Okay.
All of them got a 555 on them.
Makes much sense with what you've just said.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just said to everyone that I've been seeing that number for the last 2 weeks.
So look at this.
That means
so check this out. If you didn't know, the Hebrew alphabet has 22 characters, 11 plus 11.
Yeah.
And they talk about is based on 11/11, literally verbatim. I mean, at the hotel that I was staying in Israel, look at the elevator keys. There's nothing after 22, is there? There's 22 floors at the hotel where they told me to stay. This is in Caesarea, and there was a large scale synchronicity. This is like beyond synchronicity. As part of my divorce, I sold my house in Wisconsin. And the people that bought it, their last name was Caesar, Caesar. For their privacy reasons, I won't give their first names. That was their last name. Super nice people. Immediately after selling that house, I was working in Caesarea, Israel, and that's the place where Jesus was tried. He was sentenced to die on the cross by Nero at the court at Caesarea, 2 kilometers north of where I was working on the Mediterranean coast.
Right. Wow.
When I was going through all these judgments and court proceedings and stuff for the divorce and all that, but life's better now. I'm not here to garner pity and sympathy, but it's just fascinating to see these connections though with the 20.
It's part of your journey, and I think vulnerability is a beautiful thing where we come out of victim consciousness and are able to share our journey and story, especially when you're doing work with the work that you're doing privately, and then you've done public work through your book. So it's a journey, and I think people will be able to relate, because a lot of the times when you're in the public eye, whatever your work is, so you're an author as well, there's sometimes maybe a misconception that we can have it all together. you know, and we all have a story, and everyone that watches me, I know, are beautiful souls, full of love and full of compassion, and they will really appreciate and be humbled that you've shared this with us, and then tying it up with this phenomenal journey of 1111, which they relate with me as well.
Nice. Yeah, it's
The
fascinating.
22nd floor, right?
It's definitely not all fun in games, though. It's like the devil comes after those who he fears the most and who are the biggest threats.
I'd like to say something on that, actually, if you don't mind, before we go in. When we got off the phone yesterday and you said that, that just played on my mind and mind. It's been a real crazy journey for me personally, in the acutely since I came onto this movement. When we did our show, post every show, I would end up feeling quite ill, and struggled with being consistent in the journey, because I had this ferocious anger about the discoveries that we learned in this whole, what I call the scamdemic, but I have to be careful. So far we've been okay, otherwise, you know, they censor you for speaking and having your own voice. But I really do see that, because if we look at the light code now that we're kind of associating to the number 1111 as the Great Awakening code, and it applies both scientifically, i.e. the mathematics of it, you can't make. There's Jason Q, who I'm going to have a show with both of you. That is going to be epic. Both of you are of the same mind and aligned, but in many of the subjects, but it is mathematically impossible to be a coincidence. But for whatever it is that we're going through in this journey, you're right, the devil does come and knock on the door quite ferociously to those that have a superpower, and which is what I called authenticity. Authenticity is, that's going to be my launch of my t-shirt brand. Authenticity is your superpower. And in this day where we are weaving our way through the spiritual, psychological, and information war, and navigating ourselves through that, it's so important to have a spiritual practice, and to be at one with God, because that's one, you're a threat to the devil when you're out there doing light work. So is it any wonder that we've connected to literally do this light work? And you mentioned that you got banned from Twitter as well. What were you actually saying?
I was a outright Q supporter. I was dropping Q proofs left and right. I was dropping major heat on all the big players, just pulling people's pants down and spanking their ass in front of the world, and they didn't like it. The dark hates the light, so that's just the way it is.
Right.
This reminds me of a verse, Luke 10:19. I'm going to read it to you from my phone. I have given you the authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. Luke 10:19. Right there.
Wow.
Favorite verses when I'm putting the spank on. I don't hold back anymore. I never hold back.
But if you think about it back then as well, when that happened, because that was happening, I think to kind of wake people up to say that when you speak your truth, this is what's happening. You get censored. What's happened to freedom of speech? We're supposed to be in a democracy where we can actually speak freely, but everyone, I'm sure, can see that that's not the case in humanity at the moment. Yeah. Everything's heavily censored. But before we go on to carry on, we will speak a lot more about what's going on in current times as well. But today's show, just everyone, just a little reminder, please share this on your socials. This is the introduction to what I think will be a 22-part weekly or monthly, depending on, because Charlie travels a lot, but we will definitely have a show dedicated to each chapter. And that's what the intention of this is. We've got some great ideas between ourselves, Charlie and myself, where we really want to take the learnings and teachings of this into future work. So once again, please share and on your socials. But yeah, I digress. Charlie, carry on.
Awesome. Thank you, Alpa. It's a good discussion. I'm going to go to the next slide here. So this kind of ties. I'm going to segue into more of the common current event now out in the world and the news. As everybody's well aware.
Charlie, just one second. Your voice is going a bit funny. Isn't that interesting, folks? And this Mercury retrograde. Can you? Yeah, it's really weird that it's just gone croaky. Do you have a mic? It's gone. Yeah. Hold on. Let me just pause the recording for 1 second. All right. Yeah, let's resume. Sorry about that, folks. Carry on. Prince Charles, royal family.
Okay, so as everybody's aware, the passing of Queen Elizabeth happened recently. Notice in this picture here, Charles was speaking in 2020 before the World Economic Forum, who we all know is the engine behind all this deep state nonsense going on. Count the number of wisps or these little spires, whatever you want to call them, these little feathers coming off.
Is there 22 there?
No, there's 3 groups of 6. There's 3.
Oh, yes.
Right. Yeah. So think about that. 666.
Oh, I've lost you again.
Over this crown. These plumes. Are we back?
Yes. Go over that. You paused for a minute. So just over this crown, there's 3 of those lines or whatever, and there's 666 over him. And then what did you say after that?
Well, I just think it's interesting that symbolically somebody thought about that and did that. And it's like Q always said many times that symbolism will be their downfall. Their need for symbolism will be their downfall.
Do you know what we're going to say for that word, though? We're going to say the number 17, because the algorithms of YouTube might just decide to sort of give me a slap on the hand again. And it's interesting because this is on the 22nd of obviously Jan, but yeah, so number 17 will represent that letter or that movement. Okay.
Oh, got it. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so the Queen funeral, this is some bullet points here that I've harvested from the news. The Queen's funeral, they invited 22 royal families from around the world, 11 plus 11. The yeomans, it's the guards, the symbolic, what do you call it? The ceremonial guards that accompanied the Queen's casket on her movement to her burial place. They are now made up of 73 servicemen who are all former warrant or non-commissioned officers aged between 42 and 55 and served at least 22 years in the military. I thought that was interesting. Most interestingly, the Queen's casket left Buckingham Palace to go to her final at Westminster Hall at 2:22 p.m. sharp.
That. Yeah, I heard about that as well. Somebody else, I mean, go figure, yeah.
And then the QEEN had 17 days of mourning. Think about that.
So I'm not sure if ever, I still look, with this whole movement, there's been so many psychological psyops. And as everyone knows, I'm not one to align myself to times and this is going to happen by this moment. I personally believe, and I respect everyone that's doing their bit on this journey. I have no, sort of judgment on it. But, when we're kind of saying that this is going to happen by a certain date, I'm not aligned to that. And the reason being is because at the start, I think I also got swept away with the whole camaraderie of it, where it was like, yay, Trump's coming back and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's been a deliberate psychological exercise for us to really start strengthening our own intuitive compass, to not literally be swayed and led, and to sort of speculate, but not be deliberate and say, right, this is what's going to happen. A lot of people on this journey that are speaking publicly are doing that, saying this is going to happen by a certain time, which I think brings a sense of false hopium. So for me, this is brilliant because it's just observation and drawing the parallels and actually factual information that is this a coincidence? Is this, aligning the gematria to this? So that's what I find very fascinating. But yes, carry on.
The thing about the 17 movement is that it's a repeating theme is future proves past, not the reverse. So yeah, this is more of a data-based approach. So let's see what I've got on the next slide. I don't have this memorized.
Oh, 777 is the number I said.
Yeah. So let's take a little bit of a dive. This is sort of a sneak tease into what I've talked about in the book. 666 versus 777. What operates at the core of all of these triple numbers, 111. If you start with 111, 111 is 3 times 37. Okay. 222 is just twice that. So 2 times 3 times 37. 333, you can go all the way up to 999. And it's saying the truth is 999 is 9 times 3 times 37. So this 3 times 37 is what's at the core of all of these triple numbers. And 37 is a factor that's common to all of them. There's a 37 inside of every one of those triple digit numbers. And 37, as you can see, is a star number. 37 dots makes a Star of David, so to speak. So I think that's fascinating. If you look down here at the bottom right, the first terms are 1, which is the degenerate case of a 1 dot star. The real case is 13, a 13 dot star, and then 37, which is in all of these triple numbers, which brings me to the next slide.
Can I just ask you something? That is
Sure.
insane. I've just got goosebumps. When I add up all my birth numbers, my date of birth, month, and the year, it comes up to 37. And as you know, just to get your life path number. So all of my birth numbers add up to 37, and then subsequent
Nice.
a 1. So that's my soul. So life path. Oh, yeah. Wow.
So let's dig into 777. Now, as I said before, 777, if you take 3 times 7 times 37, it equals 777. You can try it yourself. If you look at it, there's a 3 and then another, huh?
I mean, this is giving me literally goosebumps.
But you can see here that 3 times 7, there's a 3 and a 7 there, and there's a 3 and a 7 here. So it's doubly 3, 7. 3 for the Holy Trinity, 7 for God, and 37 as a star number. One of the things I learned in one of my space science classes is that lightning strikes emit a triple signature, an electromagnetic fingerprint, if you will, of energy emitted at the 777 nanometer wavelength, which translates to the infrared heat spectrum. Basically, you can't see it, but you can feel it. This is used by satellite detection, because if you're using the visible signature on a satellite to try to detect lightning strikes, you may or may not catch the lightning because of the cloud cover. If it's a thick 2 miles of cloud between you and the satellite, it might not, the visible spectrum will get absorbed or reflected by the clouds before it gets to the satellite. What NASA found is that the 777 nanometer signature, the infrared, is transparent to the cloud. The infrared travels light through the clouds like it's not even there. So that's why it's such a good signature for detecting light from lightning. Let's Revelation 4 verse 5. Out of the throne came flashes of lightning and sounds and peals of thunder, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. So there's a biblical reference between lightning and 7s, right?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So again, on the 7th of February 2022, that particular number was the first time it started saying hello, Alpa. And you know, I was en route to a Reiki healer, and I actually was getting very paranoid about my driving, because I thought, is somebody trying to tell me something here? Because not once, not twice, but 3 times I got overtaken by cars, all independent of each other, with the number plate 777 at the end. And I'm just going driving, and it's like God saying, right, have I got news for you? Something crazy is going to start, and you're going to be involved in it. And then,
cool.
then the scamdemic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. We in Germany, where I live most of my time between projects, you see a lot of quadruple 7 license tags, and it's always near the house. It's always near the power station near the house. Let's take it into 666 though.
Right.
Now,
yeah.
Following that pattern of the 37s, 666 is 3 times 6 times 37. And if you divide the 3 times 6, the 18 to the other side, you get 37 by itself. 37 is equal to 666 divided by 6 plus 6 plus 6. You can munch that into a calculator. 666 divided by 18 is 37. It's a star number. I just think now, if you think about the vast majority of wars, at least in the last 50 years, have really been about the monopoly or hegemony over hydrocarbon resources, oil, gas, right? Diamonds is a form of carbon. So many wars have been fought over carbon. And look at the carbon agenda today. All this shutting down of power plants. All this stuff is to do with carbon. Well, carbon has 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, and 6 protons in each atom of carbon. Look at that.
Right. And look at how we commercially associate the number 666. It's just immediately looked at negatively, but that's the inversion that's been taking place for so long. Yeah.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 18 goes, this calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man. That number is 666. The next bullet point, the human body temperature is 37 centigrade. Human body temperature, 37 C. And if you convert that to Fahrenheit, 98.6 breaks down to freezing plus 666. 32 degrees freezing plus 66.6 gives you 98.6 human body temperature. Any way you want to slice it, the temperature of a man, the number of a man. Think about that. How cool is that?
Wow. Wow. Nick's gonna his mind's gonna be blown away. I was telling him about this. I said, babe, the information that Charlie just imparts, it blows my mind, it goes over my head, but I can I get it. I'm not inclined this way, but it makes perfect sense to me. And I hope to everyone watching.
I hope so too. I mean, don't be afraid of a little bit of math. I mean, it's just nothing you can do with a full function calculator, so it's just have fun with it,
Yeah. Well,
here's some, huh?
I was just looking every time I see Biden. I don't know who this gaff is, but he's just such a walking moron.
Yeah. Hammers, right?
Honestly, this is the movie that we're going through. I mean, I don't think it's the real Biden. And then, we'll go over all of that. We got 22 chapters to cover.
Exactly. I think it's fascinating for the 17 aficionados among us. If you look at 17 posting number 4826, it talks about the Joe Biden campaign, this 30330 hashtag code, whatever it is, the texting code, arbitrary. Well, if you take 2020 and divide that by 30330, you get 0.0666. Think about that. Symbolism will be their downfall. How fascinating is that?
Right. Of course. I mean, we're seeing things. We can see a lot of the numerology, some of the things that they say being very symbolic, and we can interpret it clearly, and we can actually see there's definitely something more than meets the eye here. But when I try and speak about it, like I had somebody come up to me on the subject of Biden. He's like, Alpa, I just, you're a bit out there with what you say, and, thinking Biden's dead. I mean, Biden's dead, Alpa, come on, you've taken it a bit too far now. What do you think? I said, I'm not going to mention his name. I said, where do you work again? He works at Goldman or one of these big institutions, right? He does not understand any of this. Why? Because he's very institutionalized, cannot comprehend that actually we are living through some of the most fascinating times, but craziest. And this is the real life movie where we've got actors playing a role. And then this gaff, yeah.
Exactly. I agree with you. Look back at, so Trump's got this 88022 texting code for all his rallies and all his endeavors that he does, and asks for people to text that code. I don't know what the name for that code is, but look at the date for the Mar-a-Lago raid that the FBI raided him for all the classified material, 8/8 of 22. 88022 again. Look at that. It can't be a coincidence. It's almost like he knew about this.
Oh, of course. I mean, look, there's so many people that I speak to at the moment on this journey, and they've become a pretty despondent with Trump. And that's because we haven't seen anything happening yet, all these misaligned dates and promises and confusion and chaos. But I mean, who knows? Who knows? what really the truth is. But with all this symbology, we're trying to decipher what it truly means. There's a lot of parallels with the numerology and the gematria that we're seeing. So I definitely think there's lots of code messages with everything that's going on, and 22 and 1111 are very significant on this side as well as the woohoo side.
Yeah, I think along that vein, I think that numerology and these numerological signatures and cues, I think they're among some of the highest levels of divine communication that we are privy to.
Yeah, I mean, it really blew my mind at the start of this journey about what each of these numbers actually mean. How do we interpret it? But I think there's a universal energetic explanation which we can intuitively actually gauge, that they're trying to tell us something, and the people with the eyes to see it will see it. Charlie.
Exactly. How about this?
You want
my old Wisconsin tag.
Wow, is that your license plate?
Yeah, it's my old plate. I became a Florida resident.
And they gave that to you? Was that private?
No, this was what?
Is this a private number plate or a?
Yeah, it's a custom. That was on my car.
Amazing. I want that.
I got two of them.
I can't use it here in the UK. I'll get banned from driving straight away.
Yeah. Here, let's go to the next slide. Let's see what I've got. I call this my bonus round, and this is getting towards the end of my material for this presentation. But thinking about the number 22, Leah Thomas, 22-year-old women's swimmer, kicks off the men's sports revolution, the gender wars in the swimming pool, and for the collegiate athletics in general. It really sparked the huge debate. Here you go, 22, right? In the year 22. You got the Iranian woman, Masa Amini, killed by the morality police for the right way. She was 22 years old in the year 22, and she was born 7/22 of 2000. Think about that. 11 plus 11 all over that. I think this shows that the message is that Spirit uses some of us as sacrificial lambs to teach something to the greater audience. And I think these numbers sort of put a divine stamp that God used her as a sacrifice to help everybody wake up.
That's I mean, it's very hard for people who are very emotionally and psychologically connected to her, because it was an uproar everywhere on social media.
Rightfully so.
And rightfully so, yeah. And what happens is, when there's really sensitive subjects like what happened to her, I have found that, especially with the children's stuff and that topic, I start quivering a little bit, and I become incredibly sensitive sometimes. But I do believe what you said, that that the universe is trying to show us something here, especially with gematria. Is it all controlled? That's some of the questions I think we'd have, like, who's actually controlling the strings here with these coincidences? I apply it all to the divine, Charlie. This is
right. And you think about things like the U.S. Federal Reserve. Their address is 33 Pennsylvania Avenue. Well, yes. The street's wrong, but it's 33, 11 plus 11 plus 11. You look at another agency of oppression, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, our taxing body. Their address is 1111 Constitution Avenue, Washington, D.C. Look that up, 1111. So it's like the wolves are bathing them, are clothing themselves in sheep's clothing. They're cloaking themselves behind these divine symbols. I think 33 being the highest degree of Freemasonry. I think that may be a tag that the Federal Reserve is standing behind. That's a whole nother subject. Look at, as I was sending out all my books, I must have sent out 2,000 copies of my book, and every single one of them in the continental U.S. had a 22-digit tracking number.
Wow.
Anybody watching, next time you go mail something, ask for a tracking number, count the digits, tell me it's not 22 of them, 11 plus 11. That's enough. I did the math on that. Why? I mean, if 10 digits is enough for everybody to have a fax machine, a landline, and a cell phone in the U.S., for all 320 million of us, I mean, how many tracking numbers can each of us have? And it works out to, I think it worked out to 320 billion unique tracking numbers for each and every American. Something ridiculous like that. It's like hundreds of billions. So why do they need to go to 22 digits? I don't know. Well, I think I know. It's a messenger. It's a message. It's a messaging company.
Divine order as well. Definitely.
Sorry?
I think number 22 for me now, as I evolve in this journey and the 1111, there is a multitude amounts meaning to both the numbers, both scientific and spiritual, and to pay attention, to start paying attention, especially if you have the eyes to and the lenses and the spiritual lenses to be able to see the messages in all of these dates.
Exactly. And let's go back to Israel for just a moment. Where did Jesus get crucified? Calvary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Golgotha, the same names for the same place. Golgotha is Aramaic for skull, and Calvary is Greek for skull. So the skull, what does the skull have? It's made of 22 bones that fuse together during infancy. 22 bones, 11 plus 11. Wow. You can't make this stuff up. Let's look at this one. Here's another red herring. Lee Harvey Oswald, the guy that shot JFK. We went to 22 different schools during his childhood. That's a lot of moving around. How about this one? This is kind of funny. Paul Pelosi, when he had his DUI accident, he got the accident happened at 10:22, which is 22:22 military time. After blowing a stop sign, he was struck at a crossing by Jesus V, the 22nd letter, Jesus V. Lopez, and the responding officer that arrested him was Jesus P. Ramirez. That was his coming to Jesus moment, wasn't it?
Wow. Hey, just a fun fact about me as well, that I was in an incubator for 22 days. It just sort of dawned upon me now. When I was born, 11/11, put in this incubator immediately for 22 days. Go figure.
Oh man, that must have been terrible.
Oh, well, I just kind of just said, see you later, Mum. I'm independent from day one, But if you think about it, you add all my birth dates up, it comes to a 1. So it's number 1, soul path 1. And then she says, yeah, I think you were in the incubator for 22 days, Alpa. Straight away, they took you away. So I'm like, oh my God. So look, the fact that we're speaking now it's just unreal on this subject, and my own personal experiences and journey with it is phenomenal. And it never stops to fascinate me. I'm like an excitable child. In fact, really excited that in the beginning of this conversation, I had so much to say. Folks, I completely lost my train of thought because I've been super, like a childlike excitement about all of these revelations. So yeah, thank you, Charlie.
Thank you. I mean, the passion is mutual, or we wouldn't both be here, right?
Yeah. And it's going to get better as we could go on. I'm a bit
Absolutely. It gets deeper. It's a rabbit hole. I mean, look at NASA's Artemis moon rocket.
Yeah.
2 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
So is the Apollo rocket, the original Apollo missions. Apollo 11, the first one that went to the moon, 322 feet tall. Let's see here. Back to the somber note. I lost both of my maternal grandparents in the year 22. This year, I lost both my grandparents. One of grandpa 95. And then grandma lived in 92. She just passed 2 weeks ago. God rest their souls. I could not have been blessed with 2 better grandparents than them. Thank God Almighty for both of them. Such great people, but 2 grandparents in 22. What a crazy year. I also lost my ex-father-in-law, Charles. And 2 weeks later, King Charles became King of England. I mean, these are major events. I mean, just crazy stuff. Look at the year 2022. It's the 22nd year of the 3rd millennium. We're the
right.
322.
Go figure. Of course.
How about this? I mean, who else is in the news right now? Quite heavily, Putin, right?
Yeah.
I hate him. I tend to think that he's on the side of the light because I
don't think it's the real one though. I think he's been changed as well. I think
possibly we could debate that.
Yeah, I think so. But again, I don't get too concerned with that. But it doesn't look like him. for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. We could debate that offline. He's been president for 22 years. He was inaugurated as president May 7th of 2000, 11 plus 7 in the news. Georgia, how about this? I wrote about the Georgia Guidestones. Look what got destroyed this year. They were created 5 years after I was created to the day. My birthday, 3/22/75. 5 years later, the Guidestones were destroyed. Sorry, I take that back. They were constructed 3/22 of 1980, destroyed in 2022. There's a 7/8 diameter hole in the top of the stone that allows the sun to go through, kind of like a Stonehenge, kind of like a sundial type concept. That hole, if you convert 7/8 of an inch to millimeters, that's 22.22 millimeters for the diameter of that hole for that monument that just got destroyed.
Wow.
Let's see here. Another interesting thing for the news: on 8/22 of 22, 1,100 scientists gathered together and signed a declaration stating that they don't believe there's any climate emergency. That's another one of the biggest things that's being talked about right now is climate change.
And it's just like you've got all the celebrities endorsing this subject, which is why everyone's getting hyped up about the climate change. Crap. Sorry.
Look at some of the big massacres this year. The Uvalde, Texas massacre, 22 dead, 77-minute shooting spree, 17 officers involved. 77-page report was issued by the Texas House of Representatives detailing the incident. Riddle me that. How about the 4th of July parade massacre in Highland Park, Illinois, just outside Chicago, not too far from where I grew up. Robert Crimo, 22 years old, 11 plus 11, pulling the trigger.
Wow. Yeah.
This is just kind of a fun slide here with, some stuff I've collected over the last year or two. Jack from Twitter, he posted on 12/16 of 2020, nothing, just 11 plus 11. That's it. We know that comes out to 22 most of the time. What's that about? I don't know. Paris Hilton posted 11/11, make a wish. Okay, great. Jennifer Aniston got an 11/11 tattoo. Great.
Hey, I'm getting that done.
Huh?
I'm getting the 11/11 tattoo done here.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Good times.
I shall just do it on the 11th.
It hurts too much. I can't get tattoos.
Pardon? Oh, yeah.
Tattoos hurt too much.
Yeah.
Elon Musk dropped a couple of tweets at 11/11 here. You can see that.
Yeah.
This is just a fun slide here. Okay, next slide. I'm just gonna wait a minute. Sound my own trumpet for a minute here. If you want to connect with me, if you want to connect with me on YouTube, just search the 1111 code. You'll see my picture here from Tatooine, Tunisia, from the Star Wars filming site. That's me. Please like, subscribe, comment. I always read my comments. That's one way we
do this. And do you have any other socials as well apart from YouTube?
Yeah. I try to post videos from wherever I go in the world. If it's somewhere interesting in Iraq, I got videos. I got videos from virtually everywhere in Israel on there. Tunisia, Morocco, Germany, USA, you name it. Let's see here. I'm on Truth Social after being kicked off of Twitter with almost 19,000 followers. I'm building back up here on Truth Social at the 1111 code. No dots or spaces or cute stuff, just the 1111 code. Super happy to connect with you guys. And let's see here. If you want to get a copy of my book, go to Amazon and type in 1111, 11:11, and code, come right up. You can see it was a bestseller under the philosophy of good and evil about a year ago. Actually, the last show it hit number 1. And I was super happy to beat the Satanic Bible. So
after our last show?
Yeah, right after that. This was right after that. I hit number 1.
Everyone, look, I get the Alpa special.
Thank you so much, by the way.
Yeah, so look, everyone, this is going to be, all the information will be on the box below on the description. I'm just going to have to go over this to see if we can put it up on YouTube. But I think we should be okay. We've been a bit careful because I done a show with Mark Atwood recently, and I don't know what was said in that. I think maybe about the thingies that we could have got. I don't even recall talking about it, but we did talk about this spiritual war and the sort of psychic attacks and what's going on. So it's very interesting to see what they're censoring you over. My Facebook, which got taken down, I had about 20,000 following on that, and that was my kind of biggest platform outside YouTube. YouTube just hasn't shifted from November 2020 or December, and from this number it just goes between 28,000 to 30. They just don't, it just doesn't move up. The algorithms have been completely shadow banned, so it's okay. I have people write in, a lot of people just come on my channel just to check if I've got anything new, but again, that's why I just humbly request, please like, share, comment, so we can get the algorithms up. I've kind of tried to work out what's happening. But before we end the show, so my intention to have Charlie on regularly, and we want to keep this, is to go through each of the chapters that he's written about in the book. And there was one especially the spiritual side, the chapter 14, and the chapter 4, which is interesting, seeing 22 everywhere. 2 + 2 is 4. You've got that in there. So when I was reading through some of the things, especially what you talked about, like idols and Hollywood, that was fascinating, the pyramids, and then it got quite scientific, and I thought, right, it would be great if I have you here explaining some of these. So what I'm going to say is that every week, or at least every 2 weeks, we endeavor to tackle an area of the book, and I'd love to hear everybody's feedback, and of course please do support Charlie, if you're curious, get the book, and it's available on Amazon. But just wrapping up this show, Charlie, where do you see us going now, moving forward, in the next sort of couple of years? I mean, America, look what's going on financially at the moment with the pound against the dollar. We're almost on the level playing field, is what Trump was always saying. With the significance of the Queen dying, which we actually discussed 2 years ago, that's going to be a huge marker. Where do you feel we're at? Do you think that we're starting to see a momentum of change?
Well, I think any of the 17 followers will remember that people will not find the will to change until we reach the precipice. And I think that the destruction of the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines, I think that in concert with all the activities and with Russia and Ukraine, I think if that's not a precipice, I don't know what is. With both sides talking about nuclear war possibilities, I think that's as precipice as you can get. So I think
we'll just stop the screen share now. Yeah.
Have you got
let me. People can see your lovely face again.
Okay. So I think that we're at the precipice point now, and I think that there's going to be a lot of house cleaning politically coming in November, and I think after that there's going to be a period of cleaning house and change and getting the people in power that deserve to be in power. And I think it all starts with, and I think the whole world's waiting for the November election. And I think that's when God's mighty hand, his fist, is going to come down in a way that nobody's ever seen before. And the people that need punishing are going to get punished.
So we've got a 2-year wait ahead of us. And
I hope not 2 years. I hope just a 1 month wait. That's what I'm hoping. But it could be. I mean, in Revelations, it talks about the period of the tribulation, the end times. It talks about Satan will be allowed to rule for 42 months, which works out to 3.5 years, which is pretty close to a presidential term, right?
Right. Yeah. Which is where we're in our second, almost third. So we really have 3.5 left. So yeah, I hear you on that. Again, just a few close loved ones that have become despondent in the movement is the expectations. I say expectations are the mother of all F-ups, right? And I get it, and I totally understand where everybody's at. everyone, like on this movement, everyone we're all people born with nothing but love in our hearts. Is how society shapes us, and our experiences that govern the way, you know, we sort of are psychologically made up in life. But if we look at what we've been thrown at, and all the psyops and the psychological programming that's gone on, we need to look at our brothers and sisters with compassion and love. And that's one of the things that I found as my learning curve in this, because it's moving away from judgment to just that consciousness of unity. And I get, and people can meet you as far as they've met themselves, Charlie. And we need a softer and gentler world where we are governed by love. But are we there? No, because we're in that disparity of division, and it's so rife at the moment. But I do feel that the collective is slowly kind of looking through and saying, hang on a minute, something doesn't feel right here. Whether they will confront it, again, boils down to where they've met themselves and their ego, and where they are spiritually. There's just so much that we are going through as a collective, and it's just really important to keep your shit together during these times, because we have 8 planets in retrograde. And pardon my French, we have 8 planets in retrograde. We started our Mercury retrograde, the shadow period, just past the 22nd of August this year. And I remember the first day was 23rd, and boy, from the 23rd to just literally now has it been very spicy for me. Mercury retrograde stations to go direct tomorrow, and we go through another period of 3 weeks till the 16th of October, where it goes through the post shadow period. What does this all mean? I never knew anything about it, but I do know and have reflected upon after realizing and finding out that there was this thing called Mercury retrograde that was happening, and I could see, oh my God, that this was happening. So that's when my curiosity and like understanding of what this period in the cosmos meant. I don't really take it to the extreme where you govern your life by it, but this has been a very pivotal time, these last sort of 6 weeks, and then the next 3 weeks forward. So my sort of I don't want to use the word advice, but I would say to everyone, just as much as you can, you know, keep this as aligned to being centered to God. Yeah, no one else but God, because these are trying times, and especially with people who are trying to fight for the light, whether it's in your local communities, whether you're doing it publicly, the devil comes in to derail you. And that's through your most important friendships, through your most important relationships, through your work. And I can attest to that, because for me, I never felt that I was consistent moving forward with this, because it felt like my voice was going. It's no coincidence that that was happening. So what you said to me yesterday on the phone, 100%. This is the spiritual side of it, the spiritual war that we're going through, folks. And it's always, I humble myself every time to say I know nothing, and I just am curious and will learn till the day I die. And I just love you all for watching and listening this far. But there is always that divine plan, and that's what I encourage everyone to do, is to trust the divine plan. So on a parting note for our first introductory session, it didn't go so bad, did it? It was good. I really enjoyed it. It's warming up. I know my audience will love it. They used to see me, they'll absolutely adore you. And thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability, your gnosis on the scientific plane. And of course, you apply the spiritual side and always seeks the hand of God, which I absolutely love and adore. So, yeah.
Nothing but love and light for you, Alpa. Thank you so much for hosting me. It's always an honor and a privilege.
Yeah. Well, so look forward to more shows between myself and Charlie, and I promise you this time we're going to do this, because we're both in good spaces, aren't we now?
Much better.
And this is the time. We've got some exciting things, so please support Charlie and all the details. And until next time, folks, thank you very much. I really appreciate you watching, if you've watched this far, and if anything that I've said incorrect or anything, do forgive me. Lots of love.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.